It all started when I bought this. So, this is the beginning of my let's put LEDs in a PlayStation 3 controller journey. Okay, alright. So we're gonna start with the good one. See this red guy? Look at that. One perfectly functional, sticker intact, got all the screws back there, one red controller. This one had some sticky buttons, one little soap-a-dub, little scrub, and a fully functioning red controller. The good. If anything, I paid $30 for one good controller. Let's get on to the bad. Here is Le Green, dude. So, whoever painted this was not a painter. They put fingerprints in it. This paint is ridiculously thick. And they painted the thumbsticks, and I already kind of flaked it off, but they had painted the start and select button as well as the D-pad, these triangle, square, circle, and X buttons, and the L1 and R2. Like, what? Why? So, this is the bad. Let's move on to the ugly. Wait, but this controller isn't in there. You're right. This controller was the blue guy. You'd think, oh, look, it would be the red controller, but no, it was the blue guy there. This is the blue guy, and I sanded him down. I think you can still see some of the original paint back there. And I installed some clear buttons in him. And a switch. Put that one aside for later. This is the same thing, except for I took the analog sticks from the blue guy and swapped them into the orange case because I wanted at least one normal controller. And so this is the scrapper, okay? This is like ugly bad. Although I did get this really cool pattern whenever I was sanding out the old paint. At least I like it. I don't know about you. And then this shell was two different colors. This back half is blue, but the front half was white. Either way, I sanded them down. I mean, and now I've got the buttons all working, painted. I took the painted buttons from the last one, threw them on here. D-pad works, analogs work. This is a fully functioning controller, just ugly. Now, that minus the clear buttons, there are the four controllers. Sanding these controllers down take a very long time. And I don't know if I'm doing it the right way. I don't know if there's any kind of plastic paint stripper you can use that won't just straight up melt the controller. As you can tell, I'm just starting on sanding off the paint. Some of it chipped off, so I was just picking at that and got some of it. It's gonna be a while. I don't know about you, but I got my yeah, we'll be back in a bit. Every once in a while, you know, as I'm sitting here, you know, you just gotta just but I won't. So you see there's a little bit left there. You just this is just a latch. It doesn't even matter. But my advice is don't buy a painted controller on eBay. Yeah, that's my advice. Fowler's Makery Mischief. So we got starting on the second controller. Well, that is the other half of it. So we got the back half here, pretty much all cleaned up. Cut most of the stuff out from in between. It's still a little shabby looking, but it's better. And then now we're on to this one, which I just sanded briefly, but it will be white here in a bit. Syaxis, yeah, you can tell. Look at the paint job. Look at what this person did to me. See all that flaking? That's primer. This stuff is on here so thick. Let's see if I can... Here. And 2 days of sanding later, off and on, I was able to get this back. I kind of lost the L and the R buttons, and it looks really rough. But you know, paint hides a lot. We're just gonna you know, paint hides a lot. But I have some more of this plaster stuff to get off of here. We're gonna lose the Sony stuff, but I don't really care about that. Alright, so modification wise, with the last controller, I wasn't quite happy because when everything was put together and you had the L and the R buttons, it was like there's a light up here, there's light coming through here, there's a light up there, but nothing on the bottom. So what I've done is there's this little rim around the PlayStation controller, as you can see. It kind of just locks the controller into place. And you wouldn't want to grind all of it away, but I'm going to grind just off the analog sticks. So hopefully when the case is back together like this, it leaves a little bit more of a gap so that the light will shine through. We're going to see how it works. See if it works. So hopefully I can get the light from the center button to bleed through the bottom here. And on this side, there's this little raised thing, and they already kind of have a dip, but I'm just gonna make this dip even bigger. You see how it kind of slopes down? I'm just gonna exacerbate that. All right, there we go. Come on, camera. So those are the new cutouts. See if we put it back together. Still snaps. Pretty much normal. Except for hopefully light will shine through. Oh, actually you can see just a little bit. Yeah. See just a little bit of light through there now. Alright, so the next step we're going to do here is take this drill bit and drill out the center hole right here. And I'm going to try to do it without detaching the pads, but you can if you want. It's just, and you also have to clip this weird peg right there. But once you drill that out, it will fit. What I have here is a slow flash RGB diode. Just like that. Just to show you, these are this is the battery that came with the controller. Them's boys right there, good old crappy battery. But the diodes, they say they're 3 volt to 3.2, but I mean, they tend to work fine. And these are the slow flash, so there's 3 RGBs in here, and it just cycles between them without needing any kind of computer or nothing fancy. It's pretty nice, actually. All different colors. 6:40 a.m. Just woke up, and today I deal in buttons. All right, so today is buttons. I'm kind of lucky, and kind of not. I have a set of 4 spare buttons, so I don't have to do or mess with any of this. Yeah. So I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna put them over here and forget about them. Okay. Now I didn't have any spare analog sticks, so I had to clean these off, and they're still dusty. But I just sanded them down, which was horrible. I'm crying, but you can't see it anyway. Whoever, just real engineer here. So this is the piece we need to modify in order for that LED, in order for this LED hole to actually do anything. There's a contact that sits under this pad, which contacts this part of the membrane right here. Okay, so see that hole in the center? There's no button there, so drilling it out and putting an LED there is fine. On the bottom of these pads, there are, whenever you push it down, there are those 2 carbon contacts. And there's a little, I just worked this one back into shape. Yes, the paint had completely ruined it. But basically, we need to not touch either of those carbon contacts on either side, but put a giant hole through the center of this. And I'm going to try it with a soldering iron, because when you cut the edge of it, it no longer has its springy ability, and so the button feels really weird. But it works. I mean, it just feels weird. After that, we have to clean these 2 pads, which is actually the easiest thing I've done on this controller. That leaves me to deal with the D-pad. Yeah, which also brings me to the L and the R buttons. This is fine. And those are gonna, I have 1 spare, so one of those gets set aside, but I'm still gonna have to clean this guy. Anyway, yeah. Go back to sanding. Yeah, as you can see, he painted over the spring. So I kind of worked that back into shape too, just gave it a, gotta be careful with them. Huzzah. It's just, 5 minutes of work. Not too bad. refitted. Okay. All right. So there we go. There's still some green paint down there, but I've gotten most of it off. I need to wash it, go at it again one more time. But, I mean, for the most part, take it, you put it in there. Look, it's just a normal D-pad again. Look at that. Normal, totally normal D-pad. Never lose this. This is the foam pad. And it sits right there. You lose this, and it's not. I mean, you're not out of luck. I mean, you can fabricate one, but it'll never be the same. In fact, these foam pads wear out over time. So if you have like random buttons, you can always come back and put a little piece of tape over it, and sometimes it gives it a little more buffer. Because that foam pad is what holds these contacts to the PCB. So right here where we clip that hole, there's a little, just try not to get that little plastic bit. There's like a little bit there that holds the membrane down. And it's on the top. And it's very tricky. So if you see, it's that little plastic tab, that little square right there. So you have to trim some of this up, but that little square stays. No LED in this right now at the moment. Wanted to test fit and make sure all the buttons are working fine. Always test fit. Well, actually, yeah, there we go. There's our first. Didn't even realize. But on this controller, there should be two little plastic pegs, and there isn't. So, gonna have to figure something out for that. But it should still work. All right, in classic 2000s fashion, I'm not turning the music off. Boom. Left, right, up, down, start, select. Got the battery in there. This one is missing the player one LED. Not the LED itself, but the weird crystal bit that is right there that shines the light through the top. So that's great. But triggers are functional. Look at that. Now, if y'all remember what this looked like, I don't know, a little while ago, I'd say at least this is like a used controller, right? I mean, it still even got the sticker. Look at that, I saved it. Needs some more cleaning, but I want to make sure the controller actually works still. So I need to get my PlayStation plugged in, but boom. So there's still a lot on the side here that I'm thinking about doing. So it might not be, this is definitely not done yet. But we're back to square one. All right. So right here we have the next piece to modify. Here's a PlayStation button right there. And this is see-through, but this is not. This is just a rubber pad. You can see the contacts are on the sides, so we need to melt a hole through the center of this pad without hitting those two contacts. But at this point, yeah, okay. So, soldering iron, not the way to go. See, a bunch of little black pellets, trash. Ooh, excuse me. So, the best way I found is just to use the little these snippers now. And you kind of have to just like core the center of this guy out without actually tearing the sides. You should feel like a little, kind of like a click whenever you press it. But yeah, anyway, that'll let the light come through. Alright, getting some stuff together, but I have the switch, this little tiny switch I ordered on eBay. And then these are the LED diodes. And then I have my hands over here. But I have to solder a bunch of wires. I'm going to go ahead and solder the leads onto the switch. And then the switch will go to a terminal where it'll be connected to all the other LEDs in parallel. So... Alright. Remember, always have a handy dandy lung saver. You know, you can build one. It's a CPU fan with some filter. Bad air goes in there, better air comes out there. If you have a box and an old CPU fan, you're good. Alright. One, well, you can't see, but one welded connector right there. Look at that. Ain't pretty, but she do. See, look at that lung saver. Look at that, it just saves all the lungs. Except for that moment you realize you just did this wrong. Okay. One switch. It's wired, so that is off. And that would be on. I'll show you. I have glued in the left LED and a right LED. It's not pretty, but it's supposed to be just, you know, get her done. Give the controller some weight. Whoa, whoa. Be careful, I almost got a little tiny ball of solder inside the USB port. Don't do that. You're not gonna have a fun time. A little cubby for the switch. Just kind of forces itself in there. And this will mainly just be held in by the shell when it all gets closed up. Where were we? We were wiring all this up. So I have all the leads. This connector's in there. It comes out the top. I've grooved a hole for it right there so it slots in. Glued the other connectors down. We're going to connect this here wire to the battery positive, and then we're going to connect this here negative to the negative on the thumbstick. So let's do that. There we go. Battery is plugged in upside down like this, so it'd be that bottom prong. All right. Double check everything. Plugged in there. That's plugged down there. So theoretically, we should be able to test this now. Yeah, there we go. Boom. It's alive. Wow. We got the light shining through the center there now. Loading up the insides. And the switch functions. So now what we have to do is modify this little plastic piece, because this wire going to the positive isn't going to be able to get past it. See? Ooh. It just goes over like that. Okay. Wood right there. This fucking animal triggers. Triggers are getting triggered. They're triggering me. They're triggering me. Well, hopefully my phone was recording for most of it. But I got the shell. I had to carve a little bit off the back there so this button would fit. But there we go. One glowy PlayStation controller. This one I have yet to do, but just amass my collection here of glowy Matron controllers. Y'all have a good one.